Thank you for joining us today on Amateur Sports TV Sports Show, brought to you by Caisse Financial Group, having a source for sports. Like to see all of these restrictions being taken down all over Canada, which is great to see some live sports. But we're going to talk about something that's going to be more involving the fall. If you haven't heard, USports across the nation has decided to make a statement with regards to canceling championships in certain sports for fall 2020. One of those being football. And if you ever know a U Sports student athlete that plays football and how important that is to the program and to their own lifestyle, you're sadly missing out on a great story, because there are probably, if you think about it, 50 to 60 athletes per university that has a team that will not be able to play football this fall. More importantly, that season may be their last season, and they may be aging out. We're going to talk to a gentleman who's a Winnipeg Garden City Collegiate Alum, Kieran Cummings, and we're going to talk to him about what this petition that they've set up potentially means, as well as moving forward to the implications, having these players not be around so that they may not be able to graduate, they may not want to graduate, they may change their decision in playing strictly football and becoming a non-student athlete. Lots of things to discuss with Kieran. Let's not wait any further. Here we are on the Amateur Sports TV Sports Show. As I said, here we have Kieran Cummings joining me from.
Hello.
He's home in Winnipeg. How are you doing, Kieran, today?
Good. How about you, Theo?
Fabulous. It's great to have you here, because this discussion, I think, is going to be about two sports people that love playing, but love the fact that we're talking about student-athlete perspective on a matter that is touching to a lot of players, not just football players, but I think there was 6 sports mentioned in USports that will be canceled in the fall. Now, you yourself have played football most of your life, I believe.
Yeah, around 9, I'd want to say. So quite a while.
Okay, so quite a while. So you love to hurt people. You love to tackle a quarterback. You play on the D side. You're a defensive lineman. I was a defensive lineman growing up. I was a middle linebacker. My favorite player was Lawrence Taylor growing up. Now, as you see behind me, LaDainian Tomlinson. So nonetheless, tell me, Kieran, about your your years playing high school football here in Garden City, and then how you made the transition into playing football in Saskatchewan for the Huskies.
So high school kind of started out. I played Nomads when I was a little kid, club ball. Had some very good success there with my teammates and whatnot. But the transition to high school actually too was quite big. So when I came to high school, we didn't have a JV team. We had a AA varsity team. So when I got there, it was like, whoa, this is the big stuff. It's like the big leagues. I felt like this was it. This was football. So first few years were kind of tough. The first few weeks I didn't actually really get to play most of the time. I actually played O-line before I played D-line in high school, which was it was a weird change of pace. But once they started to realize, oh, he could actually tackle instead of just be a human meat shield, as they would say. And they're like, okay, let's throw him in, see what happens. The last few games of the season, I had 15 tackles, a few sacks. And they're like, wow, this kid could actually ball a D-line. So after that first season in grade 9, starting with the varsity team, we actually got bumped up to the AAA, the highest division in our high school league in Winnipeg. And from that there on, I was the starting D tackle for the Fighting Gophers, and was also starting at O-line. Continued that success all the way through high school until I hit university. So the recruiting process for university was unique, to say the least. I had quite the ride, I guess you would say. I had lots of opportunities down south, lots of opportunities all around Canada, but it somehow landed me in Saskatchewan, and I couldn't be more happy that they came with me with open arms, said, Kieran, you can come here. It was a big story. I don't want to get into it because it's way too long. But I'm so very happy that I'm with Saskatchewan and that I am able to play the sport that I love even longer than I thought I was going to. Now, the transition was difficult because you're moving away from your family. It's really tough not having your mom to, cook your meals, not having your dad to yell at you in your ear every minute about what you're doing. Actually, that I could probably forget, but other than that, it was really hard, being on your own. I moved out. I moved on with my life. I'm now essentially not a child. I'd like to think I still am, but people say otherwise. And yeah, schooling was probably the toughest thing for me because schooling never really came easy for me. It's always been something that I've had problems with. I don't know if it's not being able to pay attention, not understanding. I never really got that, but it was weird though, because university, I kind of got it easier than high school. I think it was just the way it was taught. So things were kind of easier as the year went on and whatnot. Was starting to get used to the student athlete lifestyle of going to class in the morning, having like maybe 10 minutes to eat lunch, then you're in film, then you're in practice, then you get home at like 10, and then you got to go right to bed to wake up at 8 a.m. tomorrow again for do the exact same thing. And me personally, I never really got to have the full experience. I haven't quite made the travel roster yet. I was a 2-year red shirt, obviously, because I'm not like a DB or anything. I'm not extremely fast or anything. So, and we're going against men. Like one of our old linemen was already married before I even met him. And so, I mean, that right there just kind of tells you he's, he knows what he's doing. But it was a lot in a short amount of time for a young kid who's still trying to learn in life. But once things kind of went on, the facilities were amazing, coaches, everyone just kind of helped out. I was taught very early to ask for help, like don't not ask for help. And once I learned that, it really helped a lot. And I don't know, I would say my journey has been quite good so far. I feel like I'm in the right spot. I feel like I'm doing the right things. I just need to continue on what I'm doing. And I am hopefully going to achieve my goals that I want to do in my life. So,
Kieran, you know what? You talked about maturity, and
mm-hmm.
as an 18, 19-year-old leaving the house, going away, becoming a student athlete, playing against men. I mean, like you talk about the maturity of 5 years from 19 to 24, which is the last year of eligibility in USports football. Their bodies have matured, their minds have matured. You're playing against those linemen that are, 320, 340, still move like they're 210. They know how to move muscle. They know how to move bodies the way an 18-year-old doesn't know. It's common for players, first year, second year, to be redshirted, correct? And to be able to mature a little bit within the team and within the program.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, too. A lot of people have different times, and I like to think you're never too early or too late. You're on time, so just kind of keep pushing ahead, and sooner or later you'll get your shot.
And there's great support within that program. Like, it's not because you're redshirted because they don't feel that you're good enough. It's just that we need you to mature a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what our coaches want us to put out. Like, it's from a safety standpoint too, right? It's not just because of playing. They're not going to throw you because they know how tough the Can West Conference is. Like, it's like, especially in the trenches, like it's dirty in there, but that's the way we like it, right? So we enjoy playing football at that level, and they are trying to prepare so that we could do that at a safe level, at a high level, and to be able to compete at that level.
Let's talk about your first time hitting the home field. I remember I read your bio a little bit, and you got a little bit of that fuzzy feeling, I want to say, when you run through that tunnel.
Yeah.
Were you a big fan of Metallica prior to? And if so, how did that feel with hearing Enter Sandman and entering the stadium?
So we, us red shirts, were on the sideline. We were kind of like, it was our first kind of, like, I guess we're seeing it, right? Because I actually missed out on Dog's Breakfast. I'm sure you've heard of Dog's Breakfast. And I missed out on that. And they kind of show us like what it's like to kind of come out in the tunnel and stuff and whatnot. So I had no clue about what this was going down. So I remember just sitting on the sidelines, just kind of waiting. And then all of a sudden, Enter Sandman comes on. I'm like, no way. Like, this is our opening song? Like, you're kidding me. So I'm just jamming out because I love Metallica ever since I was a little kid. I never thought of them as a metal band. I always thought they were just a rock band. I didn't even know what metal was when I was a kid.
Right.
So they're probably like, I don't know. I like to say they're like the softest metal you could get. But I know some people would beg to differ. But I remember just sitting there like, man, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden fireworks start going off every time. It's like, dun, 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 like every time the drum was hitting. I was like, whoa, this is nuts. And then dun, 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 everyone starts coming out. And then I was like, man, like, this is crazy. I would never expect this from, you know, just a small Saskatoon town, right? Like we had nothing like this in our high school and whatnot. And it was just super crazy to have like just this atmosphere of like this is the big leagues. Like that's what it felt like to me. I was like, man, like this is what it's like. And I cannot wait to be able to have that chance to run down there and to put everything I can on that field, because it's just such a home atmosphere. You just feel like people love you there. Like that's really what you feel. You feel the love. And I really love that about Saskatoon.
Well, Kieran, I'm going to ask you to pretend a little bit now.
Okay.
Imagine March 11th, March 13th didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
And we were living and we were doing a normal spring, a normal summer. You'd be obviously training and getting ready for your final year of eligibility at University of Saskatchewan. Tell us what would be going down for you getting prepared as if it was a normal fall calendar school year.
Well, we would be around that March time. We would be starting our kind of spring training and whatnot with Joel Lippy, amazing training coach, by the way. He would be just having us we would do our workouts about 3 times a week, and then we would have our runs 2 times a week. We'd be just working through that, practicing on conditioning, strength, just kind of getting ready for the next upcoming season. We start very early. And so we would be doing that. I'd be getting ready. Who knows? Maybe I had a very good university career. Now I'm getting talked by CFL scouts and stuff. So that would be happening around that time too. So, and the draft guys training regiment's a bit different than ours. So we'd be training almost every day, working hard with Lippy. And we'd just be kind of continuing that on throughout the whole spring, just working hard, getting ready for next coming fall, no matter what, CFL or not, and be ready to compete for a Vanier.
Right on. So it's important. Like I hear the passion in your voice. You love football, and
I very much do. Yeah.
I know it's a great sport. It's a great team sport because it's just like a chain, and all the links have to be solid.
Yeah.
And you're only as strong as the weakest link, right? And we hear that all the time. How important is it to play? I mean, I was an OUA. I went to a school in the OUAs in Ontario. The Vanier Cup to football means what to USports?
It's literally the Super Bowl of USports. There's no other way to put it at that. It's the highest accolade you could get in my eyes as a team perspective. It's something that you would always want to work towards, no matter how you feel your team is going. It should always be the focal point in your training, because I know our team, we really like to think not as the personal goals, but we want to achieve something as a team. So we always see as the Vanier as our number one priority.
Okay, so we're gonna take the pretend hat off now.
Okay.
And we're gonna put the reality world back into play here. March 11th, March 13th did happen.
Yeah.
What happened to your finals, your finishing of this year, and what have you been doing training wise prior to hearing the announcement from USports saying that football was going to be canceled for the fall?
Well, the school perspective, we all got switched to online, and I know that there's some people that are very what's the word? They could adapt very well to that situation, but then also some people couldn't. Because, if you're not used to online courses and all of a sudden you're thrown into an online course, which you weren't expecting, and then also from the teacher's perspective, they've never taught an online course in their life. So now they're also being worried too. And then a lot of things get lost in translation, exams get harder and whatnot. And then sometimes you might not get the mark that you want just from that alone. From the training perspective, all gyms are closed. You can't touch a weight unless you have some at home, if you're lucky enough. And so now you're at home trying to do these body workouts, especially for a lineman. It can be tough sometimes, holding like 5-minute planks. Like it's a little enjoyable, I guess. I got to say that. But yeah, it's really hard because now you can't train. You can't train with your support group, your teammates. You can't do any of that. You're kind of essentially on your own now, which is very tough. On your own. I know our training staff.
Video chat just doesn't do the same. You don't have 5 guys around you trying to cheer you on.
Exactly.
Moving a weight. It's a completely different atmosphere. I totally get it. And for a lot of amateur athletes, young and old, or in university level, it just doesn't have that raw feeling of being in a gym, having the music rolling, having your boys with you, having your strength coach with you. It's just not motivating. And for everyone out there that listens to that, you're not alone. plug through it. Things are opening up, but congratulations on whoever had to do a training program over the last 4 months. You've made it. Now you can start doing what you need to do. Sorry to cut you off, Kim, but I had to say that because I'm pretty sure you feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
So continue on with, before hearing this announcement.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very tough being. I kind of thought of it as like, you just got scored on. You just had a touch on you. Total momentum shift. You just got to kind of bounce back. Hopefully your offense can help you out. So I guess in this sense, your support group will help you get back on the field so you can start pushing, keep beating that offense, and hopefully get a turnover on your own.
Absolutely, yeah. No, you're out. So I don't know exactly. I can't remember the exact date that USports made the announcement, but would deflating be an understatement?
Yeah, it really popped our tires. I'd say. It really popped one of our tires. We were looking very promising ahead. We were very excited for this season. I know a lot of guys are going to be getting a lot of opportunities this season to show the coaches what we got, as well as still being on top and still being the team that we know we can be. And it was just very tough for a lot of guys. And I know a lot of guys are taking it differently. And I know a lot of guys are having hard times. A lot of guys are thinking about it as an extended off season. I like to think that it is an extended off season. It's just more time for us to get better. We got to think of the positives instead of the negatives. Yes, our season has been canceled, but that doesn't mean we can't still get better and still be better, and then hopefully be able to compete for Vanier in 2021.
Absolutely. Kieran, we're going to come back. We'll take a real quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk to Kieran Cummings about I don't want to say the punchback, but a petition that has been circulating here amongst USports athletes and its supporters. So we're going to talk to Kieran about that and what that means for not years of eligibility, but aging out. So we'll stay with us. We'll be right back here on the ASTV Sports Show.
The 4 Points by Sheraton, Winnipeg South. Conveniently located on South Pembina Highway near the Trans-Canada Bypass and 1 hour from the U.S. border crossing. Offering a saltwater pool, hot tub, 24-hour fitness center, restaurant, and lounge.
TV Sports Show with Kieran Cummings, defensive tackle for the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. As much as I don't love Saskatchewan colors, I will say that Garden City Collegiate has been one of those schools that has been a very strong school when it comes to providing football players for this entire continent, I'll say. There's lots of players that have moved in and around, not just football, but basketball, soccer, great wealth of sports in that collegiate. Let's turn our direction to the punchback. And I call it the punchback because USports makes the announcement saying we're canceling sports. Several months ago, when there was this in limbo feeling with the NCAAs, whether or not players would have eligibility because their seasons were canceled as well, their championships were canceled, kind of along those same roads, but a little different because this is about not years of eligibility, but it's about aging out. Explain to us the difference and why this is so important for players that will not be able to play their senior year, their potential fifth year of eligibility, and because they're going to be 25 next year, they can't finish.
Yeah, it's because, yes, we are losing a year of eligibility, but what wasn't taken into account is the age of the players as well. Because once you hit 25, that's it. You can't compete anymore because of the age rule. So with this kind of setback, I guess you would say, with our eligibility because we're canceling the season, it's really going to affect a lot of the people that are finishing their career, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to either make the pros or whatnot. And it's really tough for those guys that also want to just enjoy their last year of football, their last ride. So it also actually affects two of the players that, I guess, in my boat, or the guys that redshirted for 2 years, because our clock is started and it cannot stop. So this whole year will be essentially taken away. So there's a lot of people that are being affected in a lot of different ways at a lot of different time periods. So it's something that really needs to be more looked upon, I'd like to say.
How do you? I mean, so far the petition it's asking for 5,000 signatures, got about 1,600, gathering a little bit of momentum. It's only been around for a week or so.
Yeah.
The key thing to understand, though, is it's not about the fact. It's basically in a nutshell what it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kieran. Is that USports has said we're canceling this season, but we're not following through by allowing those senior players, those 24s, to play one more year this one time. And it's not giving them that, I guess, that opportunity to finish their year come 2021.
And I know
so you're finished your year. Let me backtrack here real quick. You're finished in November. Your season's done. You're thinking, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm raring to go. I'm ready to get my guns flowing, my guns blazing. I know that fall 2020 is going to be our year.
Yeah.
And then the needle comes off the record, and you're like, nope, you don't get to play.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So from a USports perspective, if you're sitting in that boardroom with those guys, I mean, this is affecting, Ken West. I mean, you're talking about Dinos. You're talking about BC, the Bisons, the Huskies. OUA, there's 15 schools in the OUAs. You've got the Rouge d'Or with Laval. You've got phenomenal programs and players that are just being told, no, you can't do anything. Sorry. If you're sitting in that boardroom with the USports Board of Governors or the decision makers, whoever they be, Kieran, what would you like to explain to them so that your voice as a 24-year-old player that loses this final year, how would you express to them the importance of giving you that opportunity to play next fall?
I mean, I think we got to think it from, I guess, the perspective of a kid, essentially. Imagine telling me at 9, you can't play football this next season, right? And it's something that I just started, but I love. And I know that if that ended, am I going to continue that after? That's how I would kind of think, like, are you going to take away this opportunity from someone that's been working for it probably a long time, something that they love, something that they've worked for, that they put the time in, just because that a sickness kind of put the whole world on hold? Now, I feel like there is some opportunities for us to have some other means of working along with this. I know that it would be a lot of work, a lot of time, but I feel like the people that were affected, like obviously the kids from high school wouldn't, essentially, because LGBT hasn't started, so they wouldn't be affected as much. But I'm saying, why can't we just add another year from people from, I'd say, I guess the year before me, the last 2 recruiting classes? So yeah, why couldn't the last 2 recruiting classes get one more year in their eligibility? I'm sure that we could keep a tab on that throughout the years and whatnot, and just have those guys play till 25. I feel like that would be very fair, and it would give those guys that last opportunity to either enjoy their last ride or have that opportunity to continue on football from past university. There's a lot of people that are getting affected by this, and I know it's also hurting the schools as well. I know it's also going to hurt the CFL as well. Like, there's a lot of things that comes into play, and it's just weird just saying, no, it can't happen. It's just, it seems like it could be just a little more thought about. That's in my eyes. And no hate towards the USports board or anything of that. That's just how I feel.
No, and I think USports is reflecting their decisions based on the higher ups. And furthermore, you bring up a very interesting comment about at least allowing that player that potentially could age out the opportunity to personally petition themselves to their team into USports, saying, you know what, I am a 24-year-old player. I still want to continue my aspirations of being a student athlete. I still would like to have the opportunity to play my final year of eligibility with my university. Here is my details, and then provide that game plan to USports. They
Yep.
either could rubber stamp it or say accepted or declined,
Mhm.
and go from there based on their decision.
Yeah.
For you, Kieran, I mean, you'd be graduating next year, correct?
From my first degree, yes, it would be my BA in drama.
And you have another degree on top of that, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to be switching over to education so I could hopefully be a drama teacher one day. That's the plan.
See,
Yeah.
so take that perspective.
Mhm.
You being an athlete, having the opportunity to be an academia as well. I mean,
Yeah.
being a drama teacher is fantastic. I think that's
Mhm.
amazing. I loved my drama teachers growing up. I mean, going into education myself, I think it's a fantastic program at whatever
Mhm.
age, because you need to foster the next generation.
Exactly.
You have a goal in mind. You have a goal to attain.
Yes.
You're looking forward to graduating and then going into a further program.
Yes.
The player that plays, and not to knock their academic side, but the player that just plays football and gets by in the academic world,
Mhm.
this decision deters them from even coming back to even finishing a degree,
Yeah.
whatever that degree may be.
Mhm.
That could lead to a whole plethora of other avenues, good and bad.
Yeah.
You talk about your opportunities for especially seniors. I mean, the Canadian draft for the CFL is so important.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of good talent out there.
Yeah.
Those Canadian spots versus the import spots on CFL camps and
Mhm.
semi-professional camps are so important for the players that have the potential to go down to the NFL or go down to arena football, whatever. I think arena football's not even around anymore, but
Mhm.
these leagues haven't opened up. They haven't begun what they're going to be looking like in the fall either. There's
Yeah.
so many question marks. For you, you've got a pretty good idea of what your future hopefully will look like.
Yeah.
What do you say about the other players that don't have that question mark?
Mhm.
And does this decision, really think about that at all?
Yeah. Cuz I know for a long time that a lot of people like I don't want to say it this way, but football is sometimes people's main focus when they're doing when they're trying to get their academics, but without football they won't do their academics. And actually football is almost a saving grace for people to get their education. And that's been a thing since high school. I know I've had friends in high school that wanted to drop out of high school, but they stayed because of football and they ended up graduating high school. It's so this ending the season is like, whoa, everything's online. I'm not used to online courses, someone might be saying. And do I really want to continue if there's why would I put myself through that stress of trying to get these online courses going well and then not having football that year to kind of keep me coming for more? There's people that are like that. I'm not saying that there's people on our team like that. I don't think so.
It's just human nature. It's just
It's
the way
human
it is.
nature. Exactly. It's motivation. You need motivation to do things. I know school doesn't come easy to people. School doesn't come easy to me. But I know that without football, I wouldn't have an education. But without my education, I wouldn't have football. And I know that I actually have grown a love for my education. I know that high school is a bit tough. I know that there's times where it's like, man, why am I doing this? But now I understand why I pushed through it. And I know that people are going to think man, should I really push through this fall just to play football? And I really hope people don't say oh man, I should probably stop. I hope that they still push on because you never know what might happen in the future. You never know what opportunities you'll get. You never know what chances you'll get. I'm hoping that people still push through. I know that there's a lot of people, like you said, it's just human nature. There's a lot of people out there that I'm sure that are having that question of, do I continue playing? And I hope that we as, I guess, USports all together, I hope we could help give that opportunity and help kind of answer that question that, yes, you should push through that because it's a beautiful sport. And I know for a fact if people did quit or decided not continuing their education, it would end up hurting them in the long run. And then they will regret it. At least that's how I feel. Because I know that there's been I've heard from a lot of people that would say, I wish I had one more year of football. I don't know. I've never heard anyone that's played football all the way to the pros and then said, you know what, that was enough football.
I've had enough, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't hear that. And
No.
the reason why we're focusing on football is because this petition is solely about the eligibility or the aging out process for football. It's not taking anything away from the other fall sports that have been canceled, but this last several minutes we've been talking, Kieran, is exactly what the detriment of taking away the sport you played to become a student athlete, and you're unable to make that decision because the decision is being made for you because of something that is out of your control, and because of some higher power that thinks that, or possibly has the reason why it is unsafe for you to play football.
Yeah.
We're starting to see return to play. College football in the States is looking to do it without fans. We're starting to hear about, protective gear and whatnot to make sure that players will remain safe.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I personally feel that this decision may have been a little bit premature because of the situation, but I understand the effectiveness and the why to maintain safety within a lot of the schools, because a lot of the institutions in Canada will probably start with online courses in the fall.
Yeah.
You can't expect 30,000 kids to be on campus going to school, rotating classrooms the way they do with current situations and current guidelines in place. So I understand that from a safety perspective. And I understand that from an education and academic perspective. But to tell me that my career is done indirectly from something I did not have a choice on.
Exactly.
If I blew my knee out, Kieran, I think you'd agree. Yeah, you know what? That's on me. But you're not having that opportunity to finish your season out. I mean, you're a very driven person. I have no issues, no concerns of seeing you in a classroom teaching drama and grade 5 Stuart Little play programs or whatever you want to do. Harry Potter, whatever you want to do. The bottom line is, any given Saturday is done for you.
Yeah.
As of right now. And until they make a decision, even if they were to make a decision late in the fall, say that, we've thought this process through, and yes, we're going to allow. I mean, they haven't ruled on this, have they?
Not that I know. I can't speak.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
seen
anything outside of the fact that they've mentioned the word canceled seasons and championships. Now they can go and probably say, okay, you know what, we've made that strong mention first, but we're not backtracking. We're gonna say, okay, we're gonna allow this done. We're gonna allow these players to play that year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hope is not all lost just yet.
Yeah.
Kieran, I know you would like to play, your final years with the Huskies, your final year with the Huskies. You'll have that opportunity because you'll still be a student, correct?
Yes.
And if those that decide not to go back to the fall and still become a student, they'd have to reapply, and then their clock would begin or their clock would be done. We don't know, right? So, an interesting conversation, Kieran. I want to thank you very much because we hear all about the negatives. This is not a negative petition by any means. This is simply the opportunity for these players and supporters of football players that are potentially aging out to have their say and say, listen, we need, or we would like to finish our career the way we want to finish our career. Kieran, any last words you want to say before we say goodbye?
I would just want to say, just for all those athletes out there that is having this pandemic affect their sports, just keep hanging on in there, keep pushing, keep training, keep working. And if it is affecting you, just try to find the positives out of everything. Just keep working hard.
Couldn't have said it better. Kieran Cummings here in Winnipeg with me. We're going to try and put the image of the petition at the end of this show, so stick around for a little bit at the end, and we'll make sure we get that image there so you can at least copy it or put it down. Sign the petition if you're a supporter of USports, football, all the sports that are really canceled, because it can relate to everybody that's been canceled in the fall. This has been Amateur Sports TV Sports Show with Kieran Cummings, Saskatchewan Huskies defensive tackles. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.